Isnt true believers. This is Modular Media's No Prize Podcast, a podcast where we talk comics, movies, merchandise, and more. I am your host, Boingo Rider, and with me, as always, in the bullpen,
representing the Turtly Enough for the Turtle Club competition, the Vacuuminator is here. Turtle.
You want to know the really fucked up part about that scene from that movie?
They filmed it on 9/11.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is the anniversary of the filming of that scene. What a fantastic time. I finally opened my turtles.
Oh, yeah. He had to announce to the whole crew what had happened in the turtle suit.
What a wonderful life that man has led.
Yeah. Hey, it's a comic books podcast, everybody.
Mm-hmm. It's the show we do every week. Welcome to that.
We say penis sometimes.
Yeah, I tell you about how fucking I like toys of comic book characters. Look, here's Mirage Leonardo, the best turtle.
That's a weird way of saying Venus de Milo.
Your entire ass.
Look, I knew that would get you, even though you're not a huge turtle fan.
I don't even really have a problem with Venus de Milo. I just know you said that to make me mad, and that fact alone made me mad.
Hey,
why
it
is
works.
a relationship like this?
Because I am fucking the Roadrunner, and you're Wile E. Coyote. You keep chasing after me, yet I keep outrunning you and outpacing you.
That is the unfortunate long and short of it. But I mean, like, look at these guys. These are so fucking neat. They look.
That's what you call the thing in your pants, the long and short of it?
Yeah, they look perfect. Like they're fucking 2D comic book drawings put into 3D shape. All the thick lines are something you never see on figures of comic characters, and I love how it looks.
All the thick?
Yeah, I'm fucking into this line now.
You're into thick Casey Jones?
I mean, this fucking Casey figure does have a ridiculous package. Look at that shit.
Oh, he is wearing sweatpants.
Yeah. And his ding-a-ling is on full display, too, with the way they sculpted.
Well, you know what they say about gray sweatpants season.
Yeah. But he's wearing like a gray tank top and blue sweatpants. I never realized that was what the look was supposed to be reading through those books.
Yeah. You want to talk about a cartoon?
I guess we could do that. We could talk about a children's toy commercial that didn't have any toys attached to it.
No, but we're talking about Earth's Mightiest Heroes, Season 2, Episode 16?
Yeah.
Powerless.
No, 15. It's 15.
15?
Yeah.
Powerless.
Yeah. It's the one where they do a stock plot about superheroes losing their powers and having to realize that the real power is inside of them all along.
Yeah.
And it's done fairly well.
It's done fairly well, but you are correct. It is a stock plot.
Mm-hmm.
How many times has the comics done this?
The comics has done this a fair amount of times. I've seen plenty of other cartoons do this plenty of times. Power Rangers has done this a couple times. Hell, I know a Transformers show that did this once.
Yeah.
Actually, 2 Transformers shows have done this, because they did it in G1 and animated.
But, yeah. It's a pretty stock plot. We get to see some fun designs for the 3 big dudes.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny, because you'd think, just looking at this picture of the 3D powered boys, you know, like Steve, obviously, he's going to be kind of shit out of luck. But Thor still looks buff as hell. You'd think he'd still be able to hold his own, but he entirely gets fucked by just his own hubris. And Tony is in the Mark 1, and it's like, oh, he built that thing. He's still going to be fine. It's not going to be as quick and advanced as the other suits, but he'll be fine. And then it's like, oh, the spell actually took out his fucking knowledge of how to run and operate the thing, so he never could have iterated on it and made more suits. And it's like, okay, there's a little more of this. It's a little more clever than you'd think it would be.
Oh, yeah. It's not a bad version of the stock plot. It's just a stock. It is a stock. It doesn't have any vegetables in it. It doesn't have a meat. It's just a stock soup. That's it.
hmm It's literally just these characters lose their powers, they get sent back to base settings, and we get to see what works about that and what doesn't work, what makes them heroes. All the while, a member of the team that usually doesn't have powers anyways is going, "Come on, what the hell's wrong with you guys? I do this all the fucking time. Let's just fucking get it together. Come on, snap, snap."
Yeah. I do have to say though, I do like how they displayed them being powerless. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, Steve is tiny
hmm
again.
I love that they didn't just make Steve back to what he was before the super soldier serum, though. It's like what he would have looked like if he had kept going without the super soldier serum. He's still an older guy. He just doesn't have the serum filling him out anymore.
Yeah. And then we have Thor, and I'm kind of glad he didn't do Donald Blake, because
Yeah.
that could have been super easy of just like, oh, what is the depowered Thor? Oh, Donald Blake.
Though something about there is a Donald Blake reference in
Oh
this
yeah,
though,
there's Donald Blake references.
because they say to use the broken hammer as a walking cane, and also just like the design of this depowered four in general gives me like Eric Masterson vibes.
Yep, Eric Masterson. That's what I was gonna bring up, and of course, Mark One. It's Mark One.
Yeah, it's more the MCU Mark One than it's the comic one, but that's Tony in this show in general, so I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I don't think it's a bad idea for new adaptations to take from MCU Mark 1, cuz MCU Mark 1 looks like a real suit that someone would build, while
Yeah,
comic
they're
Mark 1 is very much I'm a bendy metal tube. Woo!
yeah. MCU Mark One is such an awesome suit because it looks like something you could make in your backyard. In reality, it's a really complex, expensive Hollywood fucking suit, but it has that tactile, thrown together look much more than the original Mark One or Model One. I think in the comics it's actually called the Model One, but who cares? It's the fucking original first appearance suit, you know?
Yeah, and like that's the problem that Iron Man has had for, I wouldn't say a problem. It's a thing with Iron Man suits that's ever for like most of it until like the 2000s, where a
Mhm.
lot of times the suits is just it's supposed to be metal, but it's just a wiggly tube.
Yep. Or like how up until I want to say Extremis, he always just had like fucking golden arms that just looked like regular person arms, like he's just wearing spandex over his arms. But
Yeah.
it's supposed to be powered by transistors because Stanley heard that word once.
Yeah. That's not a big problem. And again,
Mhm.
I think we're just going on tangents because it's like this is a solid episode. I think my biggest complaint about this is you only had 2 seasons, and this is this episode did. It feels like, in hindsight, a waste because
Yeah,
if
it
you,
feels more like a season one episode. It feels like an early season one episode.
but it's also like this is an episode you do to fill out time because you think you're getting a third season, and you go like, oh, we'll have more things to do later.
hmm and it's also it's also just unfortunate in hindsight looking back at it because it's like this is again supposed to be more fallout after Secret Invasion of the heroes like getting closer as a team through other things poking and prodding at them, but it's like that'll be good for the end of this season, but in the long run, there's nothing left after this one, so what are we doing here?
Yeah.
That being said, I will say one thing I liked about this episode that I can't really say about a lot of other EMH episodes we've looked at recently, I really like the pacing in this one.
Oh yeah,
This one,
it's fast.
it's it's not even that it's fast. A lot of the other EMH episodes feel very one track. It's just we're doing this one plot and we get through it as quick as we can. This one has like little breaks in it. There's little ebbs and flows to the action. It's still all one thing that's happening. It's one string of events. It's one crappy day that these guys are going through. But it doesn't feel like we're constantly moving from one plot point to the next. There's a couple bits where they get away from the villains for a second and go, oh shit, oh fuck, what are we doing? Oh man.
Oh
And I
yeah,
dig that.
they do get a second to go like, oh shit, what the fuck's happening?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Uh, Also, we should mention the whole reason the stock plot happens is because they remembered that Enchantress and Loki existed.
Yeah. I mean, we're saying stock plot like it may be like a bad thing. It's like, no, it's just these kind of things happen when you're doing long serialized storytelling where it's like, hey, we need a break from the big stuff happening. What's the thing we can do? Oh, we'll just shrink them and they'll go into a submarine and go through someone's body like that old sci-fi movie we all used to watch as kids. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and now every cartoon has an episode like that.
Or like fucking the current Super Sentai did a body swap episode this week, and at first I was like, "Oh, I hate body swap episodes. Every show does them, and they're all the same, and this feels really weird to be doing this right after a time skip." But I guess so. And then it was like one of the most entertaining episodes of King Ocher in a while.
Yeah. So it's I think the idea that we're getting at is it's a solid episode, good enough, but in hindsight, knowing that they only got 2 seasons, it feels like a wasted opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else we need to say about this episode?
Hawkeye is funny as always.
Yeah.
You get some good singers in here,
Yeah. Hold on.
but
It's time for
yeah, this is going to be a shorter episode of No Prize, I think, because not a lot to say about this week's episode, and there's almost no news this week. There's one, no pun intended, big thing we have to talk about at the end, but then there's only two other stories, and they're stories I might have skipped over if there was anything else happening this week. But
yeah.
we got that, and then we actually do have a lot of comics.
We
So
do have
who
a lot
knows?
of
We could still be here till midnight, but we're gonna try our
Yes.
level best to be brief.
So first things first, Spider-Man India gets a new new costume inspired by the movie.
Yeah, his solo series that they've been doing recently just wrapped up, and at the end of it, he got a new costume that looks very similar to the movie, which I think I even predicted back when that series got announced. I
It
was
looks
like,
like
they're
it's
just doing. Go
yeah,
ahead.
go.
I remember saying something like, I'm pretty sure this is just happening because people are really excited about him being in Across the Spider-Verse, and he'll probably get a new look that's closer to that movie because the comic Spider-Man India suit is kind of trash.
Yeah, it is very of that time when they were like, hey, let's just do characters and different cultures. What does that other culture do? I don't know.
They have
Let's do the
baggy
same.
pants.
Let's do
Here's
the
a
same.
Spider-Man that wears baggy pants.
It's the same. Just put a same costume with like a couple details on it that make it look different. Oh,
Mhm.
so like if we're doing like a manga Spider-Man, you just make him look like a ninja. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, which I don't always mind, like especially in live action stuff. Like if you're, I'm throwing to Tokusatsu a lot tonight, but like if you're a Toei show and you're like, oh, we got to have a bunch of extras in the background and wacky outfits, let's just grab some shit from the wardrobe department and throw it on them. That's fine. That's excusable. If you're a fucking comic book, the name of the game is imagination. The only thing that should be the limit is your deadline. You should be able to come up with all kinds of cool and crazy stuff because you're just putting ink on paper. So the old Spider-Man India costume was kind of inexcusable in my opinion. But this one is all right because it looks like that one from the movie I like.
Yeah, but it also like it still has details of the original costume. Like it is a blend of both of them,
Yeah.
which is neat.
Yeah. So hopefully more people will read Spider-Man India and he'll become a time cherished character and people will, oh, who am I kidding? All the people who saw Across the Spider-Verse don't read comics.
Yeah. Hey, guess what?
Toys?
Amazing Yamaguchi Rebel Tech Agent Venom. We got some more photos.
Yeah, we talked about the initial announcement of this last week, but it went out for pre-order this week, which means we get all the pretty promotional photos in their full high definition, and we also get the additional detail that it's coming with a comic accurate Eddie Brock Venom head that that's like a store exclusive. If you pre-order it at like a specific store, like I think maybe oh, what's the name of the company? It's not coming to me right now, but the company that makes Rebeltech,
Yeah,
they have their own online store. If you order it from there,
Katabukiya.
you'll yeah, Kotobukiya. If you order it from the
Kotobukiya.
Kotobukiya store, you will get this Eddie Brock Venom head, which cool, but I don't remember Agent Venom ever looking like that. So no, thank you.
Yeah, but if you already have a Venom Reveltech and you're into the
True.
line, oh fuck yeah, comic Venom, hell yeah.
Yeah, and I mean like this figure's still looking pretty good. The tentacles are doing a lot of the work here, but it's still a very good looking amazing Yamaguchi in my opinion.
Oh yeah, like this pose is just amazing.
Oh yeah.
Imagine getting
Get
the
that.
Carnage figure and being able to do all that.
Oh yeah. Take that, put that in like a street dio with like some really good lighting on it. Oof, that'd be fucking beautiful actually.
Yeah, so overall, cool figure, and you have your same notes about Reveltech, Amazing Yamaguchi,
Yeah,
as
it's not
always.
for me, but I appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's essentially the long and the short of my feelings on Rebel Tech.
Speaking of the long,
Oh
Giant
boy.
Man.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the HasLab.
We talked months and months ago about them teasing a Avengers 60th anniversary HasLab. The main 2 points of speculation were either it's going to be Giant Man or it's going to be a Quinjet. We got a couple teasers at SDCC, and they've been doing photos, teasing it. And yeah, it is definitely a Giant Man that is going to be 24 inches tall. It's going to have 90 points of articulation. It's going to have swappable faces, and it's going to have two stretch goal tiers of a zombie giant man face and a scroll giant man face. And it looks fine. I'm not particularly excited about it though, which feels weird to be saying because I feel like I'm one of the biggest Ant-Man family of character fans I could name, but also like it's just a big guy. It's just a big Marvel Legends guy. It's not particularly interesting. It almost it almost looks like they just blew up one of the I'll get to that in a second. It almost looks like they just blew up one of the base bodies, but I know they didn't because there's some like cloth detailing on this that's very specific, and it definitely looks crazy accurate to the original Giant Man suit. It's just that's not very exciting to me as an action figure, especially because like there's not a lot of interesting bonuses to this. It is literally just it's $200. You get a giant man, you get some swappable faces, maybe you'll get some extra heads, because that's what they're offering. They explicitly said there's not going to be an additional figure stretch goal because people got really mad at them during the Hell Charger campaign about certain figures that people really wanted getting locked behind a HasLab paywall. So they're like, okay, we learned from that. We're not going to do that here. We're just offering you Giant Man, which makes sense from that point of methodology. But I'm also like, I don't know if that was the problem with the Hell Charger because like you've done other HasLabs of big dude figures and you've offered figures that go with them, and people didn't seem to mind. Like Galactus had a bunch of heralds. The Sentinel had a couple different Prime Sentinels with it, but
I think it is just like because those were figures that people wanted. Hell Charger was more of an accessory that some people would want and some people wouldn't.
yeah, that sounds about right to me too. But also I'm sitting here going like, you guys have waited so long to do Nadia and Janet's current costume, and like we haven't had a Janet in a long time anyway. Why not offer them as stretch goals through this? Like that's my only real point of thinking. But it's also like if this backs, and it's probably gonna back if we're being honest here. Um, they'll probably just release those characters anyways around the time this is shipping to build on the hype for it. And I do think this will back because it's something most people were like, oh yeah, if they did that, I'd like that. I like the old Toy Biz build a figure, but as long as this is bigger than that, I can still get it and pretend like, oh, it's him at different sizes. And I like doing that with my toys. It just doesn't appeal to me because I'm like, I don't know if I need a giant man that's that big. The
I
size of
think
the
he's
old build
cool.
a
He's cool.
sorry.
I think he looks cool. He looks dope.
He does look cool. I will give you that. It's a very good sculpt. And the articulation seems somewhat competently laid out. I'm a little worried about the torso section though, because they went with an ab crunch and just a straight swivel at the waist instead of like the ball joint at the waist they've been doing recently. And also they said like the way they kept the look of the harness consistent is it's actually a separate piece that goes up under another overlay that's on his crotch.
Mm.
And I'm like, that seems like that could get really tangled up if you're not careful while posing him.
Okay, real quick, I just want to point out this picture that looking at Giant Man's face, he looks a little bit like John Cena.
Little bit. That's the other thing with the face is a lot of people have been saying like the faces look kind of weird, like they look kind of uncanny valley. Especially like that happy face we were pointing out. Like I think Vangelis even said in his server that they look kind of homunculus like to him, and I can't entirely disagree with him on that. There's just something that's a little too exaggerated about them, but it's not terrible. It's not the end of the world. Like I said, I think it will be successful. It's just not for me. It's not like with the GI Joe HasLabs or Galactus or the Sentinel where I'm like kind of bummed that I have to miss out on it. This is I'm like, yeah, I don't need this. I could always go track down the old Toy Biz Build-A-Figure if I really want a big giant man. I do think it's smart though, just to round back around to a positive point, that this is actually the cheapest Marvel Legends HasLab we've gotten to date, because I think Galactus and the Sentinel were both like around 300, maybe one of them was 350, and the Hell Charger was 250, I want to say. This is 200. It's not the cheapest HasLab there's ever been, because there's been a couple of $80 Transformers ones, but at 200, especially right now when I see a lot of collectors bemoaning price points of figures and talking about having to pick and choose a lot more than they used to this year, seems very smart on the team's part, and if and when it backs, it will make a very good centerpiece to anybody's collection if they're collecting all those 60th anniversary releases.
And here's the thing, by sheer technicality, it is 3 figures. Because
Yeah.
you can get a traditional Giant Man, right? And you also get What If Zombie Giant Man from the cartoon.
And we've gotten a couple of different zombies in Marvel Legends already, so that's adding to that collection.
But like that is very clearly the zombie Giant Man from that episode.
Yeah.
And that's who they're that's who he's posed with, is the other ones from that episode.
Mm-hmm.
And you get the scroll.
Yeah, which again, that's a collection they've been working on recently, so it makes sense to add to that. The other thing I forgot to mention, another interesting overlay thing they're doing is the way the faces swap. It's not like there's a mouth section and then eyes that you pop in and out. It's one big plate, and like that section of the mask that goes over the bridge of the nose is like rubbery, and you have to get it up under there, which they did not show off doing that exactly in the video. They just kind of described it, and it really makes me want to see someone attempt it. I'm like, how much of a bother is that going to be?
See, here's the thing. I think that was probably the wrong choice, because the eyes on the gridded teeth look like they're pointing upwards a little bit. So there's a vibe that you kind of maybe want to just go going down right. You can't mix and match emotions, basically.
Yeah, it's a little weird. But most people who are hardcore Legends collectors that I follow are already like, yeah, it's about as good as I'd want it to be, so I'm going to go ahead and back it. And currently, out of the 10,000 backers it needs to fund, it has 4,077 backers, and it's got 43 days left to go. And then the 2 stretch goals are, what is it, 12,000 backers for the zombie head and 14,000 for the scroll head. So
I'm being hailed. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I don't think this will have any problem getting funded, but unfortunately, Boingo, of course, has to take off right when I'm out of things to say. I mean, it looks good. It's gonna be a solid release, and it's probably gonna make a fair amount of people happy. It's just not something that directly appeals to me, but who knows? Like I said, possibly if it funds when it comes out, I could finally get the Marvel Legends Nadia Van Dyne I've been asking for over 5 years now, which would be nice. I would really appreciate that. Dan Yoon, Ryan Ting, Dwight Stahl, if any of you are listening by some happenstance. I highly doubt it. I highly doubt anyone's listening right now because Boingo's not here and there's no one in the chat right now. It's been a very quiet night. It's been a bit lonely here. I'm feeling rather solitudinous.
All right, I'm back.
Hey,
I really like the detail in that, in the stitching in the hands, though.
yeah, that's actually all over the sculpt, and I do appreciate that level of detail. They were saying they did that, and they also like put a like black overspray in a lot of the creases to give it a shaded effect to add value.
Yeah, it looks solid. It looks really good.
Hmm. And I will say, like the figure itself, just from its size, has a bit of an uncanny valley to it because that shot of it on the table with the two of them. I watched the video. I watched them physically handling it in motion, and even then, my brain was doing a thing where I'm like, I I, I want to think that's a render. It looks like it should be a digital render, but no, it's really there with them. That's a little fun.
Yeah, it's neat. It's cool. I can understand why you wouldn't want it and why
Mhm.
other people wouldn't want it. But like,
Yeah.
it's solid.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm not saying like, oh, this is bad. They made a poor choice here. This isn't going to work. It's just like, nah, it's an easy pass for me. And it feels weird. It just feels weird to say that because like, I'm a stalwart Hank Pym defender when it comes to the character. I just don't need a figure of him that's that big, I
But do you need
guess.
a figure of John Cena this big?
Yeah, but then I'd have to pay somebody to make like custom ring gear, and I'd have to paint it. And God, I don't have time or skills for that.
All right. I don't think there's anything more we need to say about that figure.
Yeah, that's the news, everybody. We stretched that out about as long as we could. Nice little half-hour news segment there for you.
Hey, guess what? Time to talk about comics.
Oh my God, I read 14 books this week.
Hey, guess what?
What?
Yours is one of the first ones. Tell us about Godzilla. Here there be dragons.
Hey, it's more of this book. This book that I'm enjoying because it's literally just fucking Pirates of the Caribbean by way of Godzilla, and it's fun. Um, Not too much to report on here. It's just the pirate guy. There was a cliffhanger last issue where he was going to the gallows, and the guy who had been interviewing him is like, I'm sick of your bullshit. There's no way this story is real. Let's just fucking hang this guy already. They immediately cut forward at the start of this issue, and it's like some lord or something showed up and was like, I'm interested in that guy's fucking story. Don't hang him yet. Now I'm going to be interviewing him. But the other guard guy is there, and he's like, my lord, this is preposterous. We shouldn't be taking this seriously. And he's like, do you want to be hanged? No? Then shut the fuck up and let him talk. Um, and it's just more of like it delving into this version of Monster Island and encountering a new monster that we hadn't seen in the series yet, and getting a big tease that them and Godzilla are gonna fight in the next one. And I do really like the choice because they've been building in this issue and the previous one that like, oh, it's Monster Island. All the animals are giant size, and that's weird and that's freaky, but they're not quite as big as the kaiju. Um, but that gets your brain in the right mode to accept fucking Ebera showing up in this issue. Do you know which one Ebera is of the Toho Pantheon?
No.
It's the giant lobster.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, the giant lobster that's in like 2 movies. It shows up and like eats a bunch of the pirate guy's crewmates, and then Godzilla shows up and is like, no, you fucking don't. And that's pretty much the end of the issue. It's fun, it's good, it's a solid time.
What if Godzilla isn't like the protector of humanity, but it's more of like everyone's nutritionist, and it's like, no, humans are bad for your health. They're too high in cholesterol.
I would love that if that gets explained in a continuity somewhere.
And it's just like, no. I read the Omega issue, the final issue of Ghost Rider Wolverine Weapons of Vengeance.
Hey, how does that go?
Exactly how you expect it to go. They fight. Wolverine, they fight, they win. They banish the demon. The little fuckhead who had the demon beforehand is going like, no, I feel empty without it now. I want it back. Give it to me. The demon goes like, all right, cool. And then they fucking fight the demon dude there. Yeah.
Congratulations, everybody. We made a trade.
Yeah, it's fun. If you like Percy's Wolverine and Ghost Rider, it's a solid fucking romp. It ain't bad.
Yeah.
There's some cool characters.
It's entirely inconsequential, it sounds like.
It is a comic pop issue. It is a comic pop episode waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Because I can just hear them. Okay, so what happens afterwards? Nothing.
Yeah. It's this. Do you think Tiffany's gonna cover this next month, or we're gonna have to wait like a year or two?
Who knows? Maybe.
Because I know she's planning something for October. She's been teasing that on Off the Rack.
But there's also some fun character moments of like Ghost Rider going like, oh man, I have a monster in me, but I also see Wolverine also has a demon inside him, and he's trying to keep control. We respect each other. Clink beer.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of shit.
That's cute.
Yeah. Yeah. You read Birds of Prey?
Hey, the first issue of the new Birds of Prey series by Kelly Thompson. I know she's written a couple of things for DC before this, but this is the first DC book by her I've read. I primarily know her as a Marvel writer. Yeah, this is just as good as any of the Marvel stuff I've read by her. I really like Kelly Thompson. And this just feels like a DC version of her West Coast Avengers, if I'm gonna be honest, because it's like it's centering around one fan favorite character and a personal thing they have to deal with and have needed to deal with for a while, and just like the whole first issue is just assembling a bunch of wacky characters that they tangentially have a relationship with. And it works. It's pretty entertaining because the impetus for the plot is Black Canary finds out that her sister is still alive, which I completely hats off to Kelly Thompson. I completely forgot Black Canary even had a sister, but apparently, yeah. Apparently, she was like retconned out a while ago and then got folded back in with like the Rebirth Dawn of DC stuff, and they just hadn't addressed it up until now. So Kelly Thompson is like, okay, Black Canary finds out her sister is still alive and that she's being held somewhere and she needs to be rescued off panel. And this whole book is just she's just found out that, and now she's assembling up her new Birds of Prey team to go deal with that. And also she's insisting that it be a covert thing. Like the only people who know are her, the people on the team, and Oliver. Because the first scene is her and Oliver in the morning, and him being like, "Do you have to go? This sounds really dangerous. I could come and help. I mean, come on." And she's like, "No, this is something I have to do. I don't want to get you involved because it's called Birds of Prey. That's a lady team. I'm being meta here." And just trust me. And also don't tell Barbara, because Barbara would be really pissed if I was using the Birds of Prey branding for this. And he's like, okay. So she goes and gets Cassandra Cain, and they have a badass fight scene together before they actually discuss anything. And it's really cute because Cassandra Cain is like, so I take it you want something from me. Yeah, you know about my sister? I do. You know about the Birds of Prey? I do. I'm getting them back together to go save her from a highly dangerous place she's trapped at. Will you help me? Okay. Really? Just like that? Of course. What's more important than a sister? It's like, ah,
I
that's
saw that panel, and my brain was like, my brain just immediately thought, it's like, oh, she's seeing Black Canary as a sister in arms, as like they're both lady superheroes, and she's looking out for her.
yeah.
Like double, but now that I know the whole sister plot, it could work double ways.
Yeah, it's like an onion. It has layers. Um, but then they go get Big Barda, and Big Barda is just fighting some random like fucking shocker grunts in a bar, and she's being written like four, which is not the way I traditionally think of Big Barda being written, but it really works in this book. It's kind of hilarious because Cassandra shows up and starts helping her, and she's like, "I don't need your help." And Cassandra's just like, "Well, I'm gonna help anyway, and I need your help with this team thing. It's for Black Canary. Come on, don't you want to join?" "All right, little bat." And she then affectionately refers to Cassandra as Little Bat throughout the rest of the issue. And I think that's just going to be a thing, is like they have a older sister, younger sister relationship throughout the rest of the book, which is really cute. Um, and then we cut to uh, Zana, I think her name is. Zealot is her superhero name.
Katana lady.
Yeah, fucking. I can't believe it's not Katana. She wakes up and it's just.
What do her swords do with a soul?
I don't know. Hey, can you tell me what katana means?
I don't remember enough of that movie to finish that joke.
It means sword in Japanese. It's a real line from that cinematic masterpiece, everybody. Anyway, she wakes up in her apartment and Black Canary is just there on the balcony, and it's like, okay, time to go to work. And then there's a funny joke where her boyfriend wakes up, and I didn't realize it until this moment, because there's like a full scene of her and her boyfriend talking while she's getting dressed, and then the boyfriend looks out the window and sees Black Canary and goes, "Oh, hi, Black Canary. Oh, hi, Grifter. Go back to sleep."
Oh, it's Grifter?
Yeah. I've never seen Grifter out of costume. So it was like, oh, this dude in fucking underwear and a wife beater is Grifter. Okay. And then they cut ahead to like at their headquarters. They're like, okay, the team's almost fully assembled, but we need somebody with an X factor. We need somebody who can throw off people who have dealt with all of you before, and will give our team.
We need
an
a fourth
edge.
pillar.
We need a sixth ranger, god damn it. But there's four of them, so it's a fifth member. And then Cassandra just goes, "I have an idea, Harley Quinn." And Black Canary goes, "Absolutely not. Let me explain." And then we see a flashback of the first time Cassandra and Harley ever met, which I'm guessing is a retcon. I don't know. I don't know enough about the comic history of either character to really say. But it's just Cassandra comes upon Harley robbing this fancy apartment, and they start fighting. And it's like every time Cassandra goes, "Oh, I know what she's going to do next," but Harley does something completely non sequitur and almost gets the jump on her for a second. And it's like, if I can't predict this woman, nobody can. So we need her on the team if we need an X Factor. And so they reluctantly go to recruit her, and she's just like, "I don't need a pity invite, guys. This is ridiculous, but can I be on the team? Can I?" And it's like there's this constant like poking and prodding between her and Black Canary. That's really funny. And it's written in a way that feels really true to the character. Like, this is the thing that made me go from like, okay, this is cute, to, oh, I have to continue reading this book. It's hard to describe, but like, this is the best I've seen a in continuity post Joker Harley Quinn written. Like, there's just something about her dialogue and her mannerisms in this is like, oh shit, Kelly Thompson cracked the code. She gets it.
It's not just Lady Deadpool.
Yeah, it is. It feels like that same character, but with a much more confident and much more heroic twinge to her, and I really dig that. I'm super impressed that somebody was finally able to get me on board with a post Joker Harley Quinn, because that's always a really hard sell for me, because most people again just treat it like female Deadpool, or they over sexualize it, or they just fall back on, oh
Roller
hey,
derby.
roller derby, or Harley and Ivy are lesbians. Isn't that crazy? And I'm like, sure.
Honestly,
Maybe
that's kind of the
fine.
reason why I was a little glad they broke them up in the comics. It's just like you've been leaning on that crutch and you haven't done anything actually interesting with that.
Yeah. Um, but like I said here, their Harley is written very well, and they go back to the headquarters, and then a character, a seemingly new character with a bunch of like crackling energy about him, kind of looks like a female version of the Green Hornet, if I'm being honest.
Mm-hmm.
Shows up and basically goes like, um, okay, you took a while getting the team together, Dinah, but whatever. We're gonna make this thing work. We gotta go get this person, um, who hang on. I'm just kind of rereading the dialogue real quick. Okay, so we find out who this person that's essentially like the Zordon of the team, I guess you could say, is going to be like helping them through the mission that otherwise they couldn't go on themselves. And the character introduces themselves. Some of you may know me from this time as Maps or Mia Mizugochi, but in the future I mostly go by Mandarin. And I'm here to help you break into Themyscira and rescue Sin, that's Dinah's sister, from the Amazons before they accidentally bring about the end of the world. And everybody just has this look of, has this like serious, okay, let's do this face. And Harley's just laughing her ass off and going, you gotta be kidding me. This is the mission. If we're breaking into Themyscira, we are fucked. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm on board for this.
Yeah.
This is gonna be insane.
Solid.
Mm-hmm.
We both read Steelworks issue 4.
Yeah, why don't you take the lead on this? Because I got a little bit of a dry mouth at the moment.
Well, they're trying to figure out. They're like John is trying to figure out what's happened to Lana Lang, and he's like,
Mm-hmm.
"All right, cool. So this happened to you. That happened to Connor. Shit's going weird. What's going on?" And that's when they start. The building starts getting like raided for a theft by the dude who can like
Yeah,
phase.
the new villain.
Yeah, who is the Silver Mist?
Hmm.
That the name is on the cover.
Yeah.
Silver Mist goes into the vault. He tries to steal stuff. There's a little tit for tat, that kind of stuff. He gets away with a apparent boogie, not booby trap, but like a
Well, for
decoy.
a second, you think he gets away with the actual, like ostensibly arc reactor that Steel made that's going to solve the DC Universe energy crisis, and they're like, "Oh no, what are we going to do?" And then he's like, "It was a fake. Don't worry."
Yeah. Um, but he starts looking at it more and like doing things. And my interpretation of that scene was he doesn't even have the real one because it's fucking with people's like latent powers and personhood.
Yeah, that's what
And
they figure out is like this breakthrough he had is what's been causing all the weird shit that's been fucking things up for him.
because he doesn't have the real thing that he needs to work on, like he
Mhm.
has a fake one.
Yeah.
I think that's the interpretation. It's not that he failed. It's you were right. You just don't have the right materials yet. And Superman's there, and he's just like, "Hey, yo, what's up? I'm Superman.
Yeah.
I'm your friend. I'm your buddy.
I'm just checking in. I'm
How
just
you
being a
doing?"
good friend. Um,
And it's
and then
revealed that the guy,
the bad guy goes, "I have a fucking mech. We're gonna fight next issue."
I have the fucking mech and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Steelworks has been fun.
yeah, it's a solid plot. I'm not super engaged with that. I do, however, really like how John and Lana's relationship has been written so far in this book. This issue especially, they have an almost like Reed Richards Sue Storm dynamic where he's like very cocksure and like, yeah, I'm a smart boy. I know what I got to do to defend my friends and family, and she's just like, I have powers too, you dickhead. Let me help.
And it's not necessarily like oh, fuck you. It's more of like, shit, you're right. I keep forgetting
Hmm.
about that.
And I love that in the scene where Superman shows up, because I assume, unless said otherwise, I just always assume that Lana knows. So in the scene where Superman shows up, there is like no tension or awkwardness whatsoever. It's just we are all friends here.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not, oh, this is my best friend who's about to marry my high school sweetheart. This is, whoa, hope to derp to dur, let's make some awkward relationship jokes in the issue. It's just, no, we're all adults here.
yeah. I we did not have a Superman book this week, but I love all the Superman content we got this week.
Mm-hmm.
Because in this, he's just like he's level headed. He's like, yeah, no, like things are going weird. You're trying to solve them. I'm trying to solve them in my own way. Let's share information. What you got to lead on something? And he's like, yeah, I got to lead. But and it's like, yeah, no, you truly believe these guys are friends.
Yeah. And like, just kind of backtracking a little bit, what you said about like there's no like book with Superman's name on it this week, but we got a bunch of good Superman content. That's the way it always should be. It's rarely that way. It's like spouts and spurts throughout DC's history, but Superman should always be just like poking his head into at least one book that's not his a week and helping out in some way that doesn't like completely defeat that hero, but like adds to them and gives you a new perspective on them and appreciation for the greater DC universe, because Superman is the fucking poster boy of DC Comics.
Yeah, it's like having Spider-Man pop in whenever like Daredevil's fighting some mooks. He's just like, web, hey, you good, Daredevil? Yeah, I'm having some trouble with this. Oh, well, I'm an ear to listen. I'm an ear to listen. All right, cool. See you around.
Mhm. Or like how since or like how in the MCU, after the Avengers movie, every single project, even if it wasn't building into an Avengers movie, referenced the Avengers in some way.
Yeah,
A lot, I always saw people going like, oh, that feels kind of forced and ham-fisted, and I'm like, no, they're the fucking poster boys for the franchise. Of course you're gonna call back to and reference them so people feel secure in the fictional world they're engaging with.
yeah. They're also like the beacon of hope.
Yeah.
You know, it's just that it takes fucking 5, 6 team members in Marvel to make one Superman.
Yeah. I mean, fucking even like Grant Morrison had this shit down way back in like the 80s or the 90s, I think it was, in his Animal Man. Remember that the like second or third issue
Yeah,
where Superman just shows up to check in on him? That's like one of my favorite moments in that whole series.
like Superman knows every fucking hero in America, in the world, and he's just like every once in a while he just pops in and goes like, hey, you doing good?
Hmm. And everybody who's not on the league is always a little starstruck by him. They're always just like, oh shit, Superman took time out of his day to say hi to me. That's holy shit. I feel so special now.
Yeah, and it's that kind of stuff. But like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
Steelworks is really good.
Mhm.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
We both read Fantastic Four #11.
This was a an all right issue.
This was a pretty
I didn't
solid.
love it, but like I thought it was a solid, like just fun one-off plot that gave us some good old Benji focus.
Oh yeah, it is purely just one and done fun issue of Fantastic Four.
It feels almost like a plot Lee and Kirby would have come up with, in just like, here's a weird idea, let's throw the FF into the middle of it and see what happens.
Yeah, but they're just but like basically Benjamin Grimm has been dealing with a stray dog, and it's just
Mhm.
like, oh, okay, it's a stray dog, whatever. And then one night he wakes up in the middle of the night and the house is falling, and he goes like, oh shit, the house is falling.
We're,
What's going on?
we're falling through it too. We're going to the center of the earth. What the fuck's going on?
And then he starts like going like, all right, let me check some things. Oh, wait a second, we're not at terminal velocity. Wait a second, now we are at terminal velocity. Okay, let me check this thing. Huh?
He goes to the fridge and he's like, "Why is this in here? This isn't kosher." and then it's gone, and it's replaced by a kosher thing.
Yeah, like legitimately, he brings up when he's dealing with the dog. It's just like, yeah, don't touch the turkey bacon. Like they're Ben Grimm's kosher. That's neat.
Yeah.
But like he does all these different measurements around the house, and like he sees it. It's like one thing, and then he verbally goes like, "Huh, that's not how it should be," and then it changes, and Ben just goes like, "Oh."
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he does that a couple times, and he's just like, oh, right, this was all fake.
This is a fucking simulation, which is incredibly smart and clever. And I'm also like shocked I haven't seen that in a bunch of other things. Like, you'd think with how prevalent simulation stories are in fiction these days, that we would have gotten to the point where like that is just the go-to check if you're in a simulation thing in most simulation stories. But like this is the first time I can really remember seeing it and being like acknowledged as hard as it is here. Like the only other time where I could possibly think it's a thing and it's not even really called that much attention to is there's a fucking episode of Code Lyoko where some of the kids get sent to a simulation of the real world and they notice a couple things that are off, and then the next day those things are fixed, and it's not even really called all that much attention to. They're like, oh, you changed back? That's weird. Okay.
But all the while the dog is being a dog, and Ben's going, oh, okay, we're just, he wakes up and the dog is doing something specific. I don't remember what. But Ben goes like, oh, wait a second. I'm not really awake because your nose is so good because you're a dog. You realize something's up. So let me solve the problem in reality. And then he wakes up completely and he wakes up the rest of the family.
Yeah. And then they go beat the shit out of an obscure villain I've never heard of before.
And I love how everyone was like, Reed was just like, oh, I just got fucking lost in a problem. I just had a puzzle in front of me and I got kind of like hyper focused. And Johnny was just like, there's beautiful babes around me.
I was having a wet dream. Why the hell did you wake me up?
And Sue was like, I solved the first part, but I got stuck on the second one. I got through the first simulation, but I didn't solve the second one. And then Ben just is like, I'm a little offended. You only thought to put me in a giant hole?
Mm-hmm. And then they cart the guy off to prison, and it's like, well, what are we gonna do with the dog? It keeps coming back. It keeps being a problem. And he's like, I'm gonna fucking adopt it. Of course I am. We were always headed down this road. This is fucking. This is Princess Masters Grim is the fucking dog's name. It's a little. It's not quite like a.
It's like a little Yorkshire.
Yeah, it's not quite a purse dog, but it is a little dog, and that's cute to see Ben Grimm paired with that. And also, it feels a little bit like, oh, we just got rid of his kids. Now we don't really. We need to give married Ben another cork. Okay, he has a cute dog now.
No, I think it's less like oh, we got rid of the kids. It's more like because the kids are still there, they're gonna get back to the kids eventually.
Yeah, the kids are gonna come back, but just like for now they're gone, and suddenly it feels a little awkward.
Right now, this feels more like that joke of the dad going, I don't want a dog. We don't need a dog. You get a dog.
It's definitely that. It is really written to be that.
And that's adorable. And Ben is adorable in this issue. Like, it's just good Ben work. It's just, this Fantastic Four run has just nailed the tone and voice of all the characters.
Yeah, it's fucking, it's the thing of like a good comic run. There's no bad issues. There's just issues that don't feel as good as the rest of them. And I would say this is one of those. But even though it is one of those, it's still good. It's still worth checking out. If you like the Fantastic Four, if Ben's your favorite member, go read this issue.
Oh, like, here's the thing. I'm not going to tell Snowcone, our fellow member here at Modular, to go pick up the Fantastic Four run, even though I think he would enjoy it. I will say, hey, read this because it's a fun Ben Grimm story. And he likes the thing. Solid, good, fun. Also, it shows how smart Ben is. Because that's the thing we don't normally see. Because normally it's like, oh, Reed is the super smart intelligent. It's like, no, Ben's a certified pilot. He is an intelligent man.
Mm-hmm. His intelligence is just a lot more specific and practical than Reed's.
Yeah. And he's also has a lot more common sense than Reed. He's a lot more of like a very practical streetwise guy.
Yeah.
Ben Grimm, good guy. We both read Batman number 137.
This cover's fucking weird, right?
Yes, why is Catwoman E-Girl? Why are we doing Catgirl? Why are we doing E-Girl Catwoman?
I have no fucking idea. I looked at this cover and I'm like, is this supposed to be a reference to something? Is this like a weird Catwoman outfit I've never seen before? Because she has a lot of like weird old outfits. But no, it seems like it's literally just this is what George Jim has wanted to draw for the cover.
Overall, I think this is going to be a storyline in Zdarsky's Batman that a lot of people aren't going to actually pay attention to and misinterpret completely.
Oh yeah, it's really easy to just see Batman as the asshole flying off the handle here, and it's like, no, he has a point. He's just going about the worst way of illustrating it.
And people going like, "Oh, why are all the Bat family working with Selina?" They're not. They're working against Bruce. That doesn't mean they agree with what Selina's doing. It's like, Bruce, this is already a powder keg. Why are you lighting the fire?
Yeah, it's like I'm not trying to help somebody who wants to hurt my family member. I'm just trying to get my family member to calm the fuck down and think rationally about it for a second. And then Damien comes out of nowhere and goes, "No, fuck you guys. That's right. Dad's finally seen the light. He gets that fucking
I'm
tough
gonna
on crime is the
enable.
way to go."
I'm enabling.
And that's kind of fun. And like it for a second you're like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" Cuz Damien's gotten to be more of a good boy in recent years, but like it also makes sense that the second Bruce would get on bullshit, Damien would be like, "Oh, it's cool to go back on my bullshit because Dad's endorsing it now."
And it doesn't even feel like it's back on its bullshit. It's just more of like, oh yeah, no, we can't let up. It's like Damien is good boy now, but he's also very strict, stoic good boy, and it's just like we can't let up.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like you guys want to let up some, but we can't do that. Dad says so.
Yeah.
And like,
and it's like everybody feels perfectly in character and like they're coming from a place that makes sense for them in this situation at this certain time in continuity.
but
Because you got to remember, like, Dick and Barbara are leading the charge of we need to talk some sense into Dad. And over in Nightwing, they've been doing a ton of like ultra progressive, we're trying to help people shit in Bloodhaven. So it makes sense that they would take a look at Bruce flying off the handle, going tough on crime, and be like, no, slow down. It's not black and white.
Look, what Selina's doing is wrong, but her motives are correct. It's like, and there's like little things like that. But here's the
Bruce
thing:
is just like, it's still wrong though, still fucking wrong. We gotta stop it.
Because like we actually see some hints that Bruce is right, because the crime lords, the Jokers, the Mad Hatters, the Penguins are going.
All the B-listers are getting together.
I wouldn't call them B-listers. They're just not S tier like Joker. It's like right below Joker.
Well, there's a couple of them that I would say are potentially A tier, but most of them are like B or C tier because it's fucking
Scarecrow.
It's Mad Hatter, Professor Pig, Two-Face, Clock King, Scarecrow, Black Mask, Firefly, and the Ventriloquist. It's like two of those guys I think you could argue are A tier. Most of them are B or C tier.
I would say Scarecrow, Two-Face.
We can't get henchmen anymore. This is bullshit. We gotta work together and put a stop to whatever is causing this.
Yeah, so already the crazy masks are escalating. And B, you know damn well how many of those goons are gonna get in their butt going like, oh man, I'm a badass. Maybe I'm the next Black Mask.
Yeah. Maybe James Tynion the Fourth will come back and make me into a villain of the week.
You know, like you can see it, and it's just like Selina is building a house of cards and she thinks she's building a fortress.
Yeah. Also just like the fucking Jason and Bruce fight is so perfect.
Yeah.
Like I love like, don't get me wrong. I've been made to like the idea of Jason healing and coming back into the fold and being like a loved member of the Bat family again. But I for a long time was very much no, Jason should just be a straight up villain, and him and Bruce should fucking hate each other. So to see them slip back into that for a minute here, I was like, yes, let's go. Of course, in this situation, when Jason would just fly off the handle and start trying to beat the shit out of Bruce, and then Bruce would be like, "Oh, I knew you were always the worst one. You fucking suck, Jason."
It's less like I know you're being hyperbolic for comedy,
Yeah,
but like that scene though is very interesting because that's his point. It's just like, yes, we need to help them, but if you only give them the tools to do harm, they're going to do harm.
Mhm.
Like, and that's his point. It's like, and it's like you want to agree with Bruce, but right now he's not in a healthy place.
yeah, and that's a really interesting, dense, in depth amount of stuff that's going on in this issue. And that's without even talking about like the last 4 pages. Because fucking Bruce and Damien are licking their wounds in the brownstone, and then a business dude shows up and is like, "Yo, somebody bought your house." And Bruce just goes, "Oh shit, oh fuck, oh shit, oh fuck. They can't find the Batcave. I have to get to the Batcave and fucking wall it off. Oh fuck, oh shit." And Zerna's just going, "I told you. I told you shit was going to go wrong the moment you started slipping. You let all this stuff happen, and now this is happening. It all makes sense." He's like, "Fuck off, Zerna. I can't deal with you right now." And then he gets to the Batcave. And Vandal Savage is the fucking new owner of Wayne Manor.
Real
That
quick,
is
this feels like a reboot Vandal Savage because he's fucking suave.
it might be. I haven't seen comic Vandal Savage in a long time, but like that was just like such a perfect end of issue reveal. That's the first time in a long time I've gotten to the end of an issue and out loud gone, "Oh shit."
Overall, Batman's really good. A lot of people just have poor reading skills.
Yeah. Or poor media understanding,
Yeah.
let's say.
Or they only see 3 panels and judge the entire book off of that.
Yeah, comic Twitter is bad.
Zdarsky's doing good at Batman. Shut up, everybody.
Did you see that meme I posted earlier today? It's 2016 and Tom King has been labeled as a hack fraud for a successful career on Batman. It's fucking 2019 and James Tynion IV has been labeled a hack fraud for a successful career on Batman. It's 2023 and Chip Zdarsky has been labeled a hack fraud for a successful career on Batman.
Oh man. You read City Boy #4.
Yeah, this series is still trucking along. This issue, he goes to Bloodhaven and meets up with Nightwing. And there's some interesting stuff where it's mainly about delving into his own backstory because apparently his mommy left him with his grandparents when he was very young, and she moved to Bloodhaven and like started a new family there, and he's dealing with a bunch of abandonment issues and crap. But also in the background, there's this whole brewing plot of like, oh, somebody is wanting to use Bloodhaven as ground zero for like a new fucking apocalyptic event on Earth. And Nightwing's just like, God damn it. I just got this city together and this is happening. I hope we can fucking deal with this fast. Because, like, do you know how much shit this city's been through? It's a fucking part of a nuclear explosion once. Does anybody remember that? And I'm like, I remember that Linkara episode. But they deal with some bullshit. They help a couple people out, and Nightwing sends City Boy on his way to continue learning about the mystery of his own past and the plans for terraforming Earth into apocalypse is basically what we kind of figured it out last issue, but here it's just confirmed because he also gets a vision of Darkseid, and it's like, okay, some Apocalypse is up to some bullshit. He's City Boy's the only guy who can deal with it because of his unique powers. I get it. And at the end of this issue, we get a tease for Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing's going to be in the next issue. That should be fun.
Neat.
Yeah.
I read Scarlet Witch number 8.
Oh man, that cover looks like clickbait.
It is and it isn't.
Do tell.
So basically, Scarlet Witch is doing her thing. Joseph is there and going like, "Hey, it's kind of fucked up that I look like a younger version of your dad. I'm sorry if it brings up any bad memories for you." And Wanda's just like, "You know what? I can deal with it. You deserve family just as much as anyone else." And Justice is just like, "Oh, you know what? I'll help you. I'll help you however I need to help you."
Is Joseph just like Uncle Joe to her now or something?
Kinda. Like, she doesn't call him uncle, but it's just like, yeah, no, he's just family.
Nice.
He's like a weird brother. You know, it's awkward, it's comic booky, but like, he's Joseph, whatever.
Well, I mean, her family tree is already fucked 6 ways to Sunday, so what's one more, you know?
And then someone comes through the door. It's a giant, not a ice giant, just a regular giant from Jotunheim, going like, "Hey, Loki won't let us have a representative democracy, and I want to represent my people." And Loki says, "No, can you help me?" And Wanda's like, "Yeah, I'll help you." So she goes over to Loki and goes like, "Hey, Loki, we need to have a talk. This guy wants to represent his like people." And Loki's like, "Sure." Like, "No, I'm the king. Whatever. Fuck you." And she goes like, "All right, cool. How about this? A game. We'll do a thing, and whoever backs down gets what they want."
We'll have a wager.
And here's the thing: right as she went into his Loki's throne room, she cast a spell on them to make it so they can't lie. And Loki's just like, "You didn't need to do this."
So we get some fucking Jim Carrey shit in this, I'm assuming?
It's not exactly Jim Carrey. It's more poetic. It's more like flowery. Because basically that's the game. They have to speak truths until they back down. Like, they aren't forced to speak truth. They just are honest with each other until one is too ashamed to speak. And so you have a lot of back and forth of like their baggage, their family issues, who they are as people, what they want to be, all these different kinds of things. And then Loki starts going like, "You know, I could definitely see myself with you, Wanda. Like, I could see a relationship with you." And Wanda goes like, "I could too. The only problem is I could only see it with the you right now. The one that couldn't lie to me." And Loki's just like, fuck. Give the guy what he wants. Like, he can't. Loki's just like, "I can't. No, I'm ashamed of the fact that I would lie to her, even though I have this attraction to her." It's just like, I know I'll lie. I can't truthfully say I would be a truthful partner. And it's just like, fuck. That's cold. That's harsh. You know?
Yeah.
But the whole thing is wrapped up. And it's revealed Joseph is actually a double agent. He's helping the witch hunter because it's the thing it's the only thing he feels like he can do. He's in a tough situation. This issue was really good though.
Nice.
I'm really enjoying this run.
I'm glad for you, buddy.
We both read Fire and Ice. Welcome to Smallville #1. Fuck Fire.
Yeah, Fire's just kind of a bitch this whole issue.
Fire's a cunt.
Oh my god! Yeah, kinda. Yeah, it is straight up just Fire is being an unreasonable twat this whole issue, and like everybody is doing their best to bend over backwards to help her and like abide by the rules they were given, and Fire's just like, "No, fuck this. I want to be a cool superhero because I'm fucking Fire, damn it. Haven't you heard of me?" And it's like, Fire, nobody's heard of you.
And Ice is just going like, "Hey, I just want to calm down for a moment. Can we just relax?"
Mm-hmm. And it's weird, right? Because like they've always been portrayed as having opposite personalities, but somehow still getting along. But I've never seen it quite so violently opposite. Like this feels a little less like Fire and Ice and a little more like Hawk and Dove to me.
Yeah.
Um,
Less
it's not.
political though than Hawk and Dove.
Yeah, it's less political. It's not as bad, but it's in that area, and also it just something about the way this issue is written. I don't know if it's like all the outdated meme references or just how aggressive Fire is compared to a lot of the other characters. This really reads as like a writer who's really trying to prove themselves and make a statement, but didn't actually bother to read up on the characters a whole bunch. And like I don't know if I'm right about that. I've never read anything by Joanne Starrer before or read any interviews with her or anything like that. It's just that is the vibe I get from this. Is like the radical different concept for these characters that also has some super family clickbait, so people who normally wouldn't read about them will read this. And also it's just kind of flying in the face of a lot of stuff we've done before in order to get people who haven't read these characters before excited about them now. And it's like, I've never really read a Fire and Ice comic before, but I've always kind of liked them and been interested in doing that because of their appearances in other media. And I come into this as like a my first Fire and Ice comic, and I'm like, this feels a little off. Something about this just don't sit quite right, you know?
Right. Ice is cool.
Yeah, Ice is cool. I like their robot that I don't remember being established in anything before. I like the beautician they hire. Ma Kent is really solid in this.
Yeah.
It's just the way they write Fire compared to everybody else. And maybe that's meant to be the point, but I don't quite understand the point you're making with that. It's just Fire is not a likable character at all. And it's like, I've read Fire in other things and she's been likable. Hell, I've seen Fire in cartoons and TV shows and she's been likable. I don't know why you're writing her as so much of like a blatant bitch in this.
I am hopeful that we'll see it rounded out more as the book goes on.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is just to establish like she is such a hothead that she is getting on everyone's nerves and she needs to learn the lesson.
Yeah. I will say just to say like something inherently positive about this. I love the interior art in this.
Oh,
I wasn't expecting it at all based on the cover, but like the art in this is really soft and warm feeling and in an almost like animation, like a slight step above being the kind of art you look at and go like, oh, this is animation ready. It's just super simple models that you can just throw into like Blender or something like that. Um, but it has a little bit more of a comic twinge to it, and it's really easy to read everybody's expression on every page. There's some fun designs and layouts to a lot of the new locations in this. Whoever this artist is, I've not seen them do anything before. I think the where's the credits page? Um, I think it's Natasha Bustos. Bustos. I don't know how you would pronounce that last name. It's Bustos. Never seen them draw anything before, but I really dig their style. I hope they get more work.
it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is good. I also like Superman just showing up as like, hey, shit's fucked. And Fire just doing a giant hissy fit and everyone going like, now Superman's right. What the fuck?
Fire's like Superman's babying us, and they're like, Superman is having an incredibly well measured response to your bullshit right now.
Yeah. I'm willing to give it at least a couple more issues to see what they do with Fire.
I'll give it another issue because, like I said, or I think like both of us said, I like everything in this except for Fire. So I'll give it another issue and see if it's just like they're making her come on really strong for this one. But I don't know. I'm a lot more iffy on this one than I expected to be after the previous story.
Yeah. We both read Immortal X-Men.
Holy shit.
Everything's happening.
Yep, this is the fucking this is the X-Men book to be reading right now, I really think.
So first things first, we need to do a slight correction. They aren't in any random desert. They were in the thing that Mother Righteous made.
Yep.
Because Mother Righteous shows up and goes like, "Hi, I just so happen to be a mutant." It's like, oh, okay, cool. That tracks, whatever. And then they find a way.
But she's also playing with them in a way.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't tell them the whole story. She doesn't say, I put you in here so that you would be safe. She just acts like she just showed up and got forced through a portal like everybody else.
Oh, yeah. Also,
she's up to something.
I love Exodus, though, because he's just like full on, no, these people need something to believe in. I'm tapping fully into my religious shit.
He is in charge. He is he's the fucking BMOC right now.
Yeah. And like Hope and Destiny are just like, are you sure this will work? And he's just like, they need something to believe in. And they just need something. They like, it's what they needed. And I also really enjoy, like, how are they getting water? Oh, Exodus is pulling water vapor out of the air, and it takes a lot out of him.
Yeah, that's a really cool detail. I also like that just, like, it's the Flip a Blast issue, right? Because, like, the Lost in the Desert shit is the main story, but we also have a B-plot of just checking in on what's going on with Charles. He's fucking losing it, man.
Oh, he looks a lot better in this. He's like, man, I can clean up the beard. I can make the beard look good.
he went to his tree and got his fucking shaving kit in between issues.
Yeah. But he's just like, no more people here. Fuck you.
And Shaw comes back with a bunch of specialized sentinels and psi blockers, and he's just like, oh, I can't use my sidekick powers to send your guys away? Alright, I'm just gonna fucking brutally murder them then. That's fine. I don't fucking care anymore. And it's like, Jesus Christ, Chuck.
Oh, fuck. I can't remember her name, the external. The vampire lady.
Yeah, she's gonna be a problem for Shaw soon enough.
I love that scene because it's just like, oh, brilliant tropical paradise. Everyone's happy. I don't want to be happy. I want to eat people. It's just like fucking shit.
Also, Apocalypse is back.
Apocalypse is on the magic desert near the island with all the people, and he has hellhounds, which is Wolverine on a leash,
and fucking Jean Grey.
I don't think it's Jean Grey. I think it is like how Wolverine is. Like, it's just a clone.
But like it's still it's a facsimile of that person, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Do you think Apocalypse is there to be classic Apocalypse or fight Mother Righteous?
I think it could go either way, honestly, because he's wearing like a more
Egyptian-y
costume, so it could be like Apocalypse back on his mutant superiority bullshit. Or it could be like an allusion to the Apocalypse we've grown to know in the Krakoa era.
Yeah, because Apocalypse had a face turn. He was a good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good shit, though, this whole book.
Yeah.
We both read Shazam, number 3.
This is probably the weakest issue of the week, I felt like.
It was I liked it because we got some more information of what exactly is going on with Billy.
it's got some interesting stuff going on, but it's not like, it's a lot of like, we're keeping the balls in the air and we're just kind of like slowly moving towards the next really cool thing. Which is a bit awkward to come back to after like 2 months off, I gotta say.
Yeah, but there are some fun bits. The Billy helping those gorillas out.
I do like the that we just straight up go into like, yeah, no, this is why Billy's powers have been weird. It's because the fucking gods that give him his powers are being cranky
and hijacking his body, essentially.
Yeah, and we're gonna have to deal with that somehow. It'll be interesting to see how that is resolved. I also like that they go out of their way to say, like, yeah, Mary isn't being affected by this because she's tied to a different set of gods now. Um, and what was the other thing I wanted to say? Oh yeah, just like the brief little check-in with the fucking space T-Rex and Takitani. That was really funny.
I love how Wade is just like, you know what Shazam is? It's wild, harebrained, dumb shit happening to a superhero.
Yeah.
It's not,
Especially because
it's not supervillains. It's like, oh, it's a bus full of gorillas that need to get back home. Sure, I'll help that.
but then he takes them home and then he has to go to the moon to deal with something and he fucking runs into because it's Wade, I'm sure this is like a classic villain I've just never heard of before. But I look at this guy and I just go like, oh, this is just fucking Brainiac crossbred with the Kingpin.
But yeah, I agree it's not as strong as the previous issues, but it feels much more of like it's leading into the next bit of the story and it's necessary plot elements.
Yeah.
I liked it though. It's fun. Next book?
Yeah.
We both read Doctor Strange #7.
This is all right.
It's all it does exactly what you expected. It's
It is just a lot of Stephen and Clea reacting to the fucking
War Doctor
revelation from the last issue.
and he's just like, yeah, no, all those people that that we thought Clea killed, no, I killed them so I could take their flesh and make me a new body.
He's gonna eat your brain and gain your knowledge. And he's also stealing kids for that nefarious purposes. And he steals Umar and Tiburo's kid. And I love the difference in reaction from them because like Umar is just like a tangential Doctor Strange character. But Tiburo is like a classic Doctor Strange antagonist because he's just like, Strange, you fucking asshole, you let this happen, you're gonna go fucking stop that guy and get my kid back or so help me. And he's just like, shut the fuck up, Tiburo. And then Umar is like, yeah, but could you please get my kid back? I would really appreciate that. And he's like, yeah, I was gonna. I just fucking hate your new husband, okay?
And there's like a great moment between like Clea and Doctor Strange. It's just like, wow, that's you. Oh man, and Stephen goes like, yeah, that's kind of what you would want from me, right? He's like, no, I like you because you're you. I don't want you to be like a war guy. That's not who I fell in love with. I was like, oh, that's sweet.
And then they remind us that Wong exists.
Hey, Wand is happening.
Yep, Wand is happening.
They're doing stuff.
This is the only book it's happening in, but it's happening.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like to me Clea is going to be a double agent and fuck some shit up.
Yeah, she's gonna. It looks like she goes to try and be like, "Oh no, I'm on your side, Warlord Strange. I think it's hot and sexy that you're an evil warlord." And then she's gonna go, "Psych, no, I love my husband."
Yeah. But we are gonna get Doctor Strange confronting the Vishanti.
Yeah, because he's like, "Oh, the Vishanti let this happen. What the fuck? How can I ever trust them again?"
We need to have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good issue, but it is very much the issue between 6 and 8, which are going to be more important issues.
Yeah, it's the same kind of thing with the Shazam issue. It's just a little bit stronger than that Shazam issue, I'd say.
I think it's partially because we had so much great character work between Doctor Strange seeing what he could be as a person.
Mm-hmm. And also, like, we've been reading Doctor Strange pretty consistently, or at least keeping apprised of what's going on in it for the last couple of years. Whereas Shazam, he tends to get shaken up about every 2 years, and we're just getting back into him with this run. And like we're also not extremely well versed in Shazam's history, whereas like I know the basics of Doctor Strange and I know certain important events from his history, and you have a much broader knowledge than that I can kind of fall back on.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know who Shazam is. I know the basics of his universe, but like the only Shazam I've actually read is like the Jeff Johns run, and then like some of the more recent stuff that led into this current run.
Or like that Superman Shazam crossover from like right before or right after the New 52.
I've never actually read that. I just know what happens in it.
I just love that Superman sees like, oh, you're a kid? Who fucking did this to you?
Yeah, that is great. I've seen those panels.
That's good. Next book. I read Stillwater 16.
Hey, is that water still?
Sort of. Chip Zdarsky finally explains what happened in Stillwater.
Oh my god.
You're gonna hate it.
Wonderful.
It was a deal with the devil.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So back in the 1800s, this woman has triplets. One of them dies at birth. They never named the kid because like her husband is like a preacher, and he goes like, don't name it or the devil will know it, and that kind of supernatural bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
So they have two kids. One is like rambunctious. One is like studious. And years go by, and the Civil War happens. So the rambunctious one goes off to war and dies.
It took my brain a minute to fucking think of the actual Civil War and not Marvel Civil War.
Son of a bitch. So the rambunctious one goes off, dies in combat, and basically the parents blame the other brother for not going there and being with him to save him. And the kid's just like, what, did you want me to die too? And like, through guilt and shame, he also goes off to serve in the war, and he also dies. And like, this woman is like fucking heartbroken. And then the fucking South comes into town and starts attacking. And she's just like, everything is wrong. Everything is fucked. And then the third kid shows up and goes like, hey, Mom, it's me, Luther. Because she says earlier in the book, I did name him. Only I know the name and I kept it to my heart. And she just goes like, I just don't want anybody to die. I just no more death. And like, the kisses her hand, draws her blood, puts it in a vial, and she makes a border around the town, and everybody in that town stops dying. But it's in the middle of a fucking Civil War battle, so no one dies, and it just goes on for weeks. They just stab each other, die, come back to life, and everyone's just like, what the fuck? This is hell on earth. And she eventually says like, yeah, no, I'm sorry, I accidentally caused it. And her husband just goes like, you made a fucking deal with the devil. She's a witch. We need to bury her. So they bury her alive, and that stops the curse. Until she's awoken in the 80s. And the curse starts happening again. And that's where basically the beginning of the book starts. And she's now revealing that to her main characters, and they're just like, oh shit, this is kind of fucked. Okay, cool. You didn't know what you were doing. We don't blame you, but we need to figure this shit out. And the evil people, the kid and like the Marines are like, all right. I don't care if it makes them martyrs. We need to kill them. So everything's ramping up.
Well, all right then.
Yeah. I also read Black Panther.
Is he panthering about in his panther mobile this week?
You joke, but yes.
Oh my god.
It is very Batman. It's fine, it's cool, it's whatever, but it's still very Batman.
Is this like classic Deathlock, who I don't give a shit about, or is this Miles Morales Deathlock?
No, this is a completely new Deathlock.
Oh my fucking god.
And he doesn't even look like that in the book. He has like Wakandan armor.
Bruh.
And he's being mind controlled, and Black Panther realizes that and he stops it. All this kind of stuff. So like they're trying to get information and they're going like, oh, something's gonna happen. They're doing a lot of recon and everything. He's trying to figure things out, and he talks to the Catwoman analog that like I've mentioned her before. Turns
Sure.
out she's trans. Like,
Okay.
yeah, it's just like, oh, okay, that's neat. Uh, yeah, and then the book ends with a mass shooting at a roller rink in Wakanda.
I don't know what's weirder there. The fact that they just that there's a mass shooting in this Black Panther comic, or that there's a roller rink in Wakanda.
It's not just a roller rink; it's like full on '70s disco blaxploitation kind of place.
That does not seem like a location that would exist in Wakanda. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, this book is awkward, but I'm enjoying the ride enough to keep reading it.
This feels like it's gonna be one of those runs that's gonna be remembered for like, whoa, isn't this one weird, guys?
Yeah. You read Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 30th Anniversary Special.
Yeah, this finally came out this week. It has a bunch of uh, short little one-shot stories from a bunch of different creators that have worked on the comics or are about to. I'll just run them all down really quick because either you read this or you're not gonna, and you're just kind of interested to know. The first story is written by Ryan Parrott, and it's essentially a little short story about the juice bar getting damaged in a monster attack, and Ernie going like, maybe I should just finally sell the place. Like, it was meant to be like a safe place that people can take their kids and know that they're going to be fine and they're going to maybe learn something and not be exposed to like drugs or any shit like that. But now this place is getting involved in monster attacks. I don't know. Maybe I should just cut my losses and move out of town or something like that. And the Rangers show up during the cleanup and they're like, no, this place matters. We're not going to tell you who we are, but we're your customers, dude. We fucking love this place and it means a lot to us, so please don't walk away. And he's like, oh, okay. It's one of those kind of simple, like, hey, community matters kind of stories. And it's fairly cute because, nobody really ever does anything with Ernie, so it's nice to see it.
Yeah.
Uh, then we get a story by who the fuck wrote this? Hang on.
Flores?
Melissa Flores, yes. Which is essentially just like a little like um ode to Tommy and Kat's relationship, showing like various points in it of like points that we never got to see in the show. Like we see them breaking up at the end of or like halfway through Turbo, so that they can both go to the schools that they want to and not feel like tied into a long distance relationship that might not work out. We see them getting back together post Dino Thunder, and falling back in love. And then we see their wedding day. And then we see like shortly after JJ was born, and it's just kind of like a cute like between the scenes type thing, making that whole relationship make a little more sense and feel a little more cohesive. And like, as somebody who vehemently disagrees with the like popular layman consensus of like, no, Tommy and Kimberly should be the main thing, I'm like, the show fucking says that Tommy and Kat get together. It doesn't matter what you think. And also, like, their relationship makes a lot more sense than Tommy and Kim because they are both people who started out as, like, fucking enemies of the Rangers and then were won over to the side of good by a spell getting broken. They have, like, the same fucking backstory. It makes more sense that they would fall in love and see each other as, like, oh, only we can really relate to each other. So like it's very cute and it's very fan servicey, but it's the kind of stuff that like appeals to me, so I like it. Then we get a story by um Matt Groom that is essentially doing the same thing for Alpha and Zordon, giving us a lot of like little scenes we never got to see before to build on that relationship that those two characters have. Like we see when Alpha 5 is the story opens with Alpha 5 being brought online on freaking Edenoi, and King Lexian from Masked Rider is there, powering him up, and we see like the initial startup sequence of, um, it is time to awaken, young Alpha. Hello, warm greetings to you as well. Are your sensors operational? Affirmative. Good, that's good. Now your databanks. Are you aware of who you are and who I am? You are King you are King Lexian, and I am Alpha. Oh, aye. There is an error in my databanks. I have no directive. No, I did that specifically. You are going to be unique in the Alpha line. We gave the first few Alphas directives, and they ended up going wrong or going too far in a few places. You are supposed to find your own directive. So we cut forward and we see Alpha being given to Zordon for the first time, and he's like, I don't fucking need a robot, a sentient robot assistant. I have drones that can run the place for me. And Lexian's just like, give him a chance. Give him a chance. He'll grow on you. And we see them starting to form a bond. We cut forward to like fucking season 2, and we see a little scene where Alpha is cooking for the Rangers, and Zordon's like, you don't have to do that kind of stuff. We have machines that can do that for you. I enjoy it though. I enjoy being a part of this team and helping in whatever way I can. And you see Alpha is just growing more and more human. And we cut forward to the middle of Turbo when Alpha is waking up Alpha 6 because we find out that like, yeah, Alpha 6 didn't just fucking come with I forget her name, but the mentor lady from Turbo. Alpha 5 made him because he's like, the Rangers are gonna need a robot buddy. They're gonna need an assistant. So I created you to be essentially me, but a little more modern and able to choose your own directive just like I was. And that's a really cute moment that like endures me to that character more than anything ever has, because Alpha 6 low-key sucks. And then we see during fucking Countdown to Destruction, or not Countdown to Destruction, excuse me, like the invasion of Edenoi, or Eltar. I always get them mixed up. The invasion of Eltar at the end of Turbo that gives us the impetus for chase into space. All these monsters are swarming the planet, and Zordon's like, you should fucking shut down and take an escape pod and get out of here, Alpha. And he's like, no, I'm not leaving your side. Whatever happens, you're my friend, and we're in this together. And like, it's really cute. It's really sweet. Then we have a story by Amy Jo Johnson, which is a sort of prelude to the new series she's going to be doing, that she teased a while ago, which she had said was going to be like her take on what a 30th anniversary special should be, because she wasn't involved with Once and Always, which we find out at the end of this is now officially titled Mighty Morphin Power Rangers The Return. And we see that like this is going to be taking place in an alternate timeline where Rita right away won Zed over, and they got married. And there was no like the free of the original 5 leaving the show thing. We see that scene where they all go like, oh yeah, we got accepted for the peace conference. We're excited to go, but we're gonna have to leave the team. That sucks. And literally Billy just goes, you guys do know we have teleporters, right? Like this shouldn't be an issue. Almost like Amy Jo Johnson's going like, yeah, the whole way they wrote them out was stupid. It makes no sense. And since I don't have to worry about actor availability, they're gonna be in my story. So we see them all graduating together. We see Tommy and Kimberly getting married at the same time Lord Zed and Rita are getting married. We see these characters go off to college, and we see a future where during the final battle, the command center and Zordon and Alpha are destroyed, but the Rangers survive and still stop Rita and Zed. Um, and we cut forward to a future where the moon's in like fucking pieces, and a character who I can only assume is Tommy and Kimberly's daughter is booking a flight to Angel Grove.
Hmm.
It's like just very much just throwing crazy concepts at you to go like this book is going to be
It's
weird
gonna
and
be wild.
you're going to want to check this out. And then we get a one shot by the writer of Ranger Academy that essentially is like Billy gets asked to be a guidance counselor for Ranger Academy and interacts with one of the characters from Ranger Academy for a few pages. And it's cute, it's fine, it makes sense, but like it felt like a bit of a step down coming off of those first few stories. I think it probably should have been in the middle somewhere rather than like the second to last story. And the last story is literally just called What Time Is It? And I forget who writes it, but it's literally just like a cute little goofy story about the Rangers fighting and beating Goldar. It's nothing special. And then we get a compilation of every It's Morphin Time splash page they've done in the comics so far. And overall, I liked this. I think this is worth a read if you're a Power Rangers fan and you're not sick to death of Mighty Morphin, as most people do tend to be these days. And it's worth checking out if you're interested, but it's also like wholly skippable if you're not. Like I don't think you need to read this to understand what's happening in Ranger Academy or Mighty Morphin Power Rangers to Return. It's just a nice extra treat.
Neat. I read Moon Knight.
Hey, what's that Nightman Moon guy doing this week or this
Well,
month or whatever?
they have to dive into the mind of a dude, and they're like, "Oh shit, we're not psychic. How about we deal with this one guy from an earlier issue that has like psychoactive sweat, and we use that and like hijack this dude's brain." They go in there and they get the information, and like Jake and fuck, I can't remember the third one. Mark, Jake, the third Moon Knight boy,
Steven.
Steven Grant. Jake and Steven just show up, and Brother Moon is there, and he's like, "What the fuck? They're here?" It's like, "Yeah, we're in the mind. Why do you think they couldn't be here?" It's like, "Oh, that's totally fair." And they're fighting, they're getting information, and then Brother Moon starts getting overwhelmed, and he's just like, "I need help," and he's like, "Yeah, my dude, we're in the mindscape. You have help. You're a Moon Knight." And it's like, "All right, I can summon dead Moon Knight men because they're in my brain." So he summons them. They beat them all away. They get the information they need, and they get out. And it's like, it's fun. It's cute. There's also like a neat moment they have with the person they're going in the mind is like a villain who became a villain after an accident, and the person they're talking to is the person he was before the accident. And basically it's like a neat moment of like, this is the first time you get to actually fight against the person you became. And like one of the final panels is a bunch of like big muscle bound versions of the villain he is are like charging at how the guy was originally before the accident. And the guy, and it's like a suit and tie, put up his dukes, and it's like, "You know what? Fuck the villain I became. I'm gonna beat you down." And it's just like, oh, that's nice and hopeful, but it's also just like, oh, it's neat. Yeah, and it's a setup issue for something else, but the journey itself was fun.
Nice. Kind of sounds similar to what's going on in Rogue Sun right now, honestly.
Yeah. What else did we read? We both read X-Men.
Yeah.
Everyone's
No.
speculating. Everyone going crazy. Oh, how are they gonna get married? It's a fucking
It's
sitcom plot.
yeah. It's honestly really hilarious how this issue ends. Where it's funny because it's like literally they don't even have to. It's just they get caught and they're like, oh, well, I guess we have to go along with this now. And it's like, you could fucking not. You could just explain she dropped her ring. But I guess that's what we're gonna do now because Marvel I guess Marvel just has a policy. There has to be a fucking wedding we can advertise the shit out of every year. So here's this year's one. It's Tony Stark and Emma Frost. All right.
I don't mind it. But they've all been dealing with things. It's a good issue. It's a fun issue.
Yeah. And the actual main plot of this issue, which is the Shadowcat confronting Firestar, is way more interesting and feels like very natural, very solid character writing from Duggan.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
Overall, good shit. Next book.
Yeah.
We both read Peacemaker Tries Hard.
This series is so fucking good.
Okay. So, we had a conversation the other day about like, oh yeah, it's weird how they turned Mala and like, or did they turn Mala and Brain gay recently? Because this happened in this one like anthology thing with a bunch of swimsuit issues, and you were like, maybe, I don't know, I don't pay enough attention to them. But they were gay in the cartoon, and now this happens, and Brain and Deathstroke Body goes like, we were giving each other hand jobs.
Something's just in the air. Like either I've never heard it before and they've always been like subtly gay and people are just getting more literal with it now, or at the same time a bunch of creators just went, wouldn't it make sense if Mala and the Brain were gay? Yeah, let's make Mala and the Brain gay.
Like, I have no idea. But it's just like, I was reading the book and that line came out of fucking nowhere, and it's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's just like, it's so out of pocket. Because if it was just like me and my lover were embrace, like, you know what? That's fine. That's poetic. It's just like, no, we gave each other
it's
hand
fucking
jobs.
Peacemaker, so we got to get really gratuitous and goofy with it.
God, Peacemaker, like, this book is so good.
Yeah, like it's hard to go into like detail because this is just a book that just flows so well from joke to joke, and it's really just like all we have to say at this point is like it perfectly captures the tone of the show, but it's not just doing the show again. And there's a lot of fun things.
Shit.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun shit you would only see in a comic,
like Deathstroke babies,
Deathstroke babies,
Teen
Deathstroke, who looks like a fucking McFarlane design. I'll be shocked if that's not a figure in 6 months.
I need Teen Deathstroke in the main universe because goddamn, that exchange was great. Of Peacemaker just immediately going serious mode of like, yo, you know what? Fuck your parents. You don't have to do what they say. Some dads are assholes. What do you want to do with your life? And just
He's
like being
from experience there.
Just being a genuine dude.
Uh-huh.
And then I just want to dance and play video games. Fine, go do that. Make yourself happy. Fine, I will. And it's just like,
and then the fucking Red Bee has PTSD from a goddamn war wheel.
Like, they take it seriously, but you're just going like, that's a fucking war wheel. What the fuck?
Mm-hmm. And then fucking Chemo shows up because remember him?
This book,
that's twice in the same fucking week that DC has brought that motherfucker up.
This is just a fun book, and I can't wait for it to get fully like collected and trade, because that's when people are really going to realize how good this book is.
Oh, you know, this is like part of the whole reason this was greenlit is DC went, oh, we're gonna have a trade that we can just hand to people. Like, oh, you like the James Gunn Deathstroke or the James Gunn Peacemaker show? Read this. because
Oh,
because they've been shoving him in little pockets here and there over the last couple of years since that show took off,
it's be
or since the Suicide Squad
yeah.
came out. But there's not been like a definitive Peacemaker story really ever, because the fucking Charlton series is just a goofy Silver Age comic.
I think the thing is nobody knew what to do with Peacemaker till James Gunn had his hands on Peacemaker. Because before it's just like, oh, he's just a dude. What? How do? Is he the Punisher? Do we write him like the Punisher? Is he like
Mhm.
Captain America? How? What is this man? Who is this character? And James Gunn was like, here you go. This is what the character is. And
And now
everyone's
everybody's like, oh, we know what Peacemaker is now. We have to fucking do shit with Peacemaker.
because they actually go like, I know how to. Oh, it's so good.
We have to strike while John Cena still wants to play this character.
Like there's certain characters that like they get invented and are okay for a bit, but it takes someone going like, no, I know what this character is, for people to go like, oh, now I get it. You know, it's good.
Yeah.
And that is it. That's all the comics that we read. That's
that?
all of the comics that we read.
With 13 minutes to go before midnight. How about that?
Hey, do you want to waste 13 minutes?
Sure.
I mean, we don't have to. Hey, back.
Hey,
This was a podcast. Did you enjoy this podcast?
I enjoyed this podcast a lot. This
Hey.
was a nice, sweet, and simple, just get through it, no prize. Doesn't happen too often these days.
You want to tell the people where they can find you?
Hey everybody, I'm the Vacuuminator. I make YouTube videos. I'm fairly proud of them most of the time, so you should probably check them out.
You're fairly proud? Or are you carnival proud?
I'm fairly.
Are you circus proud?
I'm fairly odd about how I'm proud about them, you know?
You're just no selling my joke.
Oh yeah. You got to go check it out at The Vacuuminator right here on YouTube. I also post clips of my older videos to TikTok. That's at _Vacuuminator. I post action figure photography on the daily to Instagram with that same handle. I'm on Blue Sky, keeping all of my content nicely collated in one place, as well as just like sending out random thoughts on things throughout the day. That's thevacuuminator.bsky.social. And I'm on Tumblr doing the same kind of thing and also just reblogging the crap out of shit I think's cool. So go follow me at thevacuuminator.tumblr.com.
Neat. Nice. Cool. Hey, howdy. I'm Boingo Writer. I do a variety of things. I'm on YouTube at Boingo Writer. I'm on Twitch at twitch.tv/Boingo Writer. I am on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram at Boingo_Writer. I'm on Mastodon at Boingo_Writer at VT.social. And I'm on Blue Sky at Boingo Writer, no underscore, .bsky.social. I make a variety of content, and I also make this podcast where we talk comics and shit. We also have other podcasts, including Components, where we just kind of fuck around and find out. Just hang out. Sometimes we interview guests. We also have Analytical Fanboys, a monthly media cast where one member picks a piece of media, makes the other members watch it, read it, or engage with it in some way, and then we talk about it. This upcoming month is going to be on
SSSS, Gridman, and Dynazenon.
So if you wanna engage with the podcast, watch those and keep up. We also have other podcasts though, such as Twit, This Week in Toku, where Back and Buster talk about The Week in Toku. Yeah. There is also the final podcast we have going on. Tell the people about that final podcast.
Saturday Morning Panels is a G.I. Joe and Transformers podcast. It happens once a month. It's me and Snowcone talking about G.I. Joe and Transformers and like classic comic books based on that stuff. You'd probably enjoy it.
It's funny. We a month or two ago, I asked how long till that blurb starts getting less and less coherent. I think we're on the path now. I think it's starting.
We're starting to get there.
We're starting to get there.
Also, it's like I haven't been thinking I've been simultaneously not thinking about that show and thinking about that show a little too much this week because we still haven't nailed down the date we're recording this month yet.
Fun. Hey, if you like these podcasts and many more, like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. Engage with us, please. We are desperate. We are needy.
There was no one in the chat tonight, and I felt lonely.
Follow us on social medias. There's a Modular Blue Sky account. There's a Modular Twitter account. There's a Modular Tumblr account. Just search for Modular Media and look for one of our dumb little logos. You'll see it when you see it. Till then, Vac, do you have anything else you would like to say this night?
Leo is best turtle.
Enough said.